Hey, this is Megan from Girls Gone Right.
And this is Peyton, and we have my friend Jeremy with us today.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Great. We're so happy to finally have you in here. A little background on Jeremy. So he was our resident videographer at Girls Gone Right a few months ago.
Contracted for one episode.
For one episode, he actually shot video footage from the Date Right Stuff interview. We actually had that in person, and I met Jeremy through work, and now we're really good friends. And yeah, he just came out and shot one day, so he did it one time, and things have changed. We have a new co-host, Megan, so things have changed since you've been here, and now we are a little more professional.
A little bit.
Setup looks great.
Yeah, you don't
Thanks.
actually have to video record today. You actually get to like be on
in it.
Oh, yeah.
How does
camera.
it feel to, you climb the ladder?
Yeah, no, behind the camera to front of the camera is a lot of pressure, honestly. I don't know if you guys are staying super calm right now, but
Yeah, well,
Super calm.
it's not for everyone.
yeah.
So give us a little
AKA
bit
ugly
of...
people. I went there. I did.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
It's only for ugly people, is that what you said?
Because radio is for ugly
radio.
people.
Yeah, but also in case you don't like looking at our faces, you can watch this on Spotify. If you're listening to this on Spotify and you would like to see our faces, check us out on YouTube because we actually have someone in studio and I feel like it's easier to follow our voices.
Yes.
This one's identifiable because he's a man, so I
Yes.
hope you can tell his voice apart.
I don't sound like you guys.
Yeah, it's a little
quite.
different. Men,
It's a good thing.
we do like to say men and women are different.
Yes.
We really lean into that on this show. So yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy, give us a little bit of background so people can know a little bit more about you.
Yeah, I'm Jeremy Gruen. I'm 24. I'm from New York, Upper West Side, Manhattan. I worked in the music industry for a lot. Peyton and I worked together for a little bit. And I'm still considering my next venture. I think real estate might be it. I think it's the way to
nice.
I think it's the way to really break out of the matrix.
Yeah.
So that's what's coming up.
What did you do in the music industry?
I manage songwriters, producers, and recording artists.
Nice.
So I still do that. So it's a lot of fun.
It's great.
You know, music and entertainment in Hollywood has its issues, but
Uh-huh.
you know, it's a little bit easier in Nashville, Tennessee. I
You
won't
broke
lie.
out of Hollywood.
I know.
You made it to Nashville. You made it to the South.
Yeah, I was so committed to moving here from Los Angeles. Thank God I only was there for a year and a half because it's kind of one of the worst places on earth. Maybe San Francisco is close second or maybe top one, but LA is kind of
They're pretty
hell on earth. Yeah.
even.
Yeah. So you were there for a year and a half. And was it the politics that pushed you out?
I think a lot of the politics, I think there's a lot of living issues there. Talk about high cost of living, highest gas tax, highest gas rate.
Yeah.
Traffic is abysmal there. I mean, people in Nashville complain about traffic and it's, maybe
No.
it takes an extra 10 minutes to
Yeah,
get
that
somewhere.
Broadway traffic.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I mean, I guess, okay, 5 o'clock on a
Yeah.
Friday, it's
Yeah.
a little bit bad, but
But I'm sure it's nothing
10
like that.
additional minutes, like if something used to take 10 and now it's 20. But in LA, something could take 20 and with traffic, it takes like almost 2 hours. So the traffic is not really comparable at all, but a lot of politics issues. I mean, it's,
Politics. You're saying you don't like Gavin Newsom?
yeah,
Shocked.
I'm not attracted to him, as a lot of the Democrats like to claim is that if we don't like you, it's because we secretly want to sleep with you. That's what they say
AOC.
about AOC. And Gavin Newsom seems to only be someone who's relatively relevant because some random, 30-year-old white women think he's hot. I
He
don't know.
looks like Christian Bale in American Psycho.
He's giving me Dr. Seuss. He looks like a character from Dr. Seuss from Cat in the Hat.
Oh, he
Yeah.
kind of does look like that,
He's-
actually.
He seriously looks like, I think his name's Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, which is Christian Bale.
Patrick Bateman is a Chad.
Yeah.
So not
Yeah.
Gavin
He's giving
Newsom, though.
Chad.
He's giving Chad, yeah. But yeah, LA has a lot of issues. I mean, thankfully, the place that I lived in, I had a great apartment, great roommate, but in maybe the 4 surrounding square blocks I had was very clean and green. But you walk about 2 blocks anywhere in any direction, and you think you're living in like a zombie movie or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Like the drugs, the homelessness, the encampments. I mean, you can't even imagine like how that's possible in American like industrial capitalistic societies. So really, really creepy.
Yeah, only in California, guys. So you mentioned that you are getting into real estate to escape the matrix. And I love that you said the matrix because when I went to lunch with you and Michelle, we were talking about the matrix.
And former guest, Michelle.
Yeah, former guest Michelle, reference there, guys. But we had this conversation about escaping the matrix.
Do you want to know what it is?
And how this hustle culture is so toxic.
How are people doing this? I couldn't sleep at night when I was broke. I knew that everything was a lie. I knew the Matrix was lying to me.
And it's so self-serving in the sense, not even filling your purpose, but I guess it's driving something to a greater evil. And I like that you said escaping the Matrix. So elaborate on that. Is that just like a general joke, or is there some truth to escaping the Matrix?
Yeah.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
I think there's some truth to it, right? I think people will define the Matrix a little bit differently depending on what the scope of the conversation is.
Yeah.
The way that I like to think about the Matrix, outside of a, maybe like giant government psyop conspiracy level, is more so just the idea of being trapped in, let's say a boring like 9 to 5, be stuck in debt forever, because basically the government makes you pay for everything that doesn't actually benefit you, and then you're just kind of dependent on them for life. And you look at people who, I guess, live a life that is not glued down to any particular like location or necessity of being anywhere. And, those are the people that kind of flex their wealth. And I don't know about, doing that to a certain extent, like not being prideful about it, but just being capable of, if I want to go somewhere, I will. If my wife wants to do something, she can. Not that I'm married, but future wife.
So you're saying you're single.
Yes, we are currently unmarried, but she's got to be a woman of God. So and that was really rare in other places of the country that I've lived in. But yeah, so I think the 9 to 5 is really restricting, and pretty much every like Fortune 500 kind of person, or I guess these influencers, whether you like them or not, that are like big hyper masculine men, they often talk about real estate as one of the easiest ways outside of maybe
getting
out things that I know a little bit less about. So I think it's a good way to not work a 9 to 5 and be like super flexible. And any job that you work that isn't strictly salary, that you have an option for commission or subsequent income is truly the way to elevate to another level, right?
Yeah.
Because just like getting a promotion every 1.5 years or 2 years, like that works for some people. It's just I think type A people don't really want to sit and just kind of wait around for that. So
Ryan Serhant, I don't know if you know who that is, or you know who that is. He's a real estate agent in New York City, and he was on that show $1 Million Listing, and he's actually very intelligent and motivational, and he has his own YouTube channel. Shout out Ryan Serhant. He's great, but he talks about a lot of that, and he makes a lot of really great points about how you can be successful, not just in the profession that you want to go in, but just how to be successful in life, your profession, your job, your relationships, anything like that. So it's interesting that you say that.
Yeah, well, as podcast host, your scope is not limited by anything theoretically, right? So you record this on the time that you want to, right? And the potentiality for your podcast to get to a certain level is I mean, not limitless like to the truest extent, but it can grow as much effort as you kind of put into it.
Yeah.
And that could be anything from, a hobby to a full-time gig, or, you could be traveling the world interviewing guests and not just having little old me on the show.
So, what are you talking about?
This is great conversation. And I like that we are starting with this, because this is something that I've really been thinking about, because I always thought that I was a corporate girly, and I never wanted to have a job where it felt risky, especially being an entrepreneur and doing my own thing, because it's so risky and I like that job security. But I've recently just come to the conclusion that there is no job security working for a corporate company. All these people are getting laid off. You go on LinkedIn, a lot of people are saying, looking for a job. I've just got laid off from my job that I've been at for 5 years. It's happening a lot. And you're not more safe because you work for a corporate company. In fact, you can get laid off tomorrow and they will replace you and hire someone at a lower rate or a lower salary. And it's so easy for them to do that. And I think there is more security in almost starting your own business, because you have skin in the game. You are very invested in this because you are on the line. Like, it's your financial freedom on the line. It's your future. You have so much that you're betting on. So it's almost like you have so much more incentive to work hard. And I think that it's more rewarding because you're creating something for yourself. Sure, that job that you're working at that is at a corporate company, that's always going to be there. But if you start your own career, your own company, you created something out of nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
And
you
I think
can't
that's
fire
so cool.
You can't fire yourself, right?
Yeah.
And corporations don't, I mean, they might claim that they care about their employees, but to what extent do they really do? I mean, you can be fired for being so good at your job that you cost them too much, or you can be fired for being just not good at your job.
Yeah.
You know, we have friends that have been fired for almost, I mean, literally nothing. They have not been told a reason, and we can look at them and be like, wow, they've excelled.
Yes.
They've done really well. So much so that maybe their boss was kind of threatened by how well they did, and so didn't want to have to deal with that.
Yes.
So I think working for yourself is incredible. It's not for everyone. So I have nothing against someone who just really needs the stability and wants to raise a family off of a stable income. There's no issue for me there. I do think that if you're young and don't have any dependents, so to speak, or even if you're a little bit older, but you still think that there's an opportunity for you to excel in an industry or in a business that maybe is not dependent on some, I mean, not necessarily corporate overlord, maybe government overlord, then you should take that opportunity while you can. And I definitely don't have any dependents, no kids, because no kids out of wedlock, and I'm not married.
Yeah.
And,
I think that's the good thing about kind of
second
almost,
plug of him being single, ladies.
Yes, he's really plugging it up. But I think that's a benefit to being young and not having a family at the moment. Like, I do want a family, I do want to get married, but I think one of the benefits of where I am in life right now is that I have so much room for error, in the sense that if I want to leave my job and start something completely different, I can, and it doesn't really have a big impact on my life because I'm not providing for anyone but myself.
Yeah.
So I have that extra room to fail. And to me, that's so exciting because I don't want to work at a corporate company. I don't want to be working for anyone else. And I do want to take a risk on myself. And now I'm like looking back, just reflecting on my life where I currently am. I'm like, you'll never have this opportunity again. Hopefully in 5 years, I'm married with kids and I'm not going to be able to do what I'm about to do because it's going to affect all of my family's lives and their livelihood. So you're just at this point in your life where you're young enough, you're old enough to know what you want to do, but you're young enough to you have that room for failure. And I think that is so cool because you can really just try different things. You can quit your job. You can try real estate. You can find what you really love. And I have not really appreciated that because a few years ago, I was just hustling for corporate world and I wanted a corporate job. And I would never, a few years ago, I'm like, I think in my past relationship, I even told him, because I'm like, I never want to go out and start my own thing. Like, I'm corporate, there's so much job security and I was so for that. And now I'm just at a place in my life where I'm like, I don't want that. I want freedom. And I think true wealth is being able to just do whatever you want when you want and create your own schedule and determine what your trajectory is. Because at a company, you have no idea what's going to happen next. You can work your ass off and expect a 5-year plan and I'm going to get promoted. I'm going to be a manager, and you will never get that. It's
never
not
promised.
guaranteed. It doesn't matter how hard you work. And I think when you work for yourself, you can guarantee something by working that hard. And when you work for yourself and you don't have a plan B, that's when I feel like a lot of people find success in what they want to do because
always have plan B.
But I think if you only have a plan A and you're being an entrepreneur, that plan A is going to work because there's no backup plan, which is kind of what I'm doing right now. I don't have a backup plan. This is the plan, and I'm going to work as hard as possible because it has to work. There is no, if this doesn't work, I'm just going to go get another corporate job. No, this will work because I'm going to make it work.
Yeah, I think Jordan Peterson talks about this, and I'm sure there are a couple other psychologists, but I remember Jordan having a podcast episode where he talks about not having a plan B.
Yeah.
And essentially, you never put 100% into A if you always think that there's something else to fall back on. So I think this idea of, I'm going to get a college degree just in case, right? My dad used to tell me, you just want to make sure you graduate so that you have a degree in case something happens in whatever world that you're in. You still have something. Because I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I wanted to go into the music industry since I was really young. That doesn't really require any sort of degree, although what job really does outside of maybe doctor, lawyer, and maybe mechanical engineer. Yeah, don't need a gender studies degree to, it's email marketing. But,
irrelevant.
Yeah, but that was something that my dad always used to kind of push for me. I couldn't necessarily agree with that. I felt like the backup plan means that there's always an excuse to not do something to the fullest, right? But now my dad, has kind of come around and said, I wish that I didn't feel stuck when I was, single and divorced with you, of just making sure I had job security. Because now my dad is in a place where he's actually thinking about going off on his own business-wise.
That's amazing.
I don't know if I'm calling him out. So hopefully his employer doesn't look at this. But
I think that, I said always have a plan B. I think what I meant was being extremely smart and tactical about how you approach this plan A.
Yeah.
Or the plan that you've set up for yourself or that you want to pursue is, some people that want to start a business, they need to be able to have something that they're doing currently before they just pour everything in there. They need to be smart about it.
Right.
Like make sure that you have a job that you can lean on to finance or to fund that new business that you want to create. And then once you get in a place where you can walk away from that, you're on the journey into that plan that you've created for yourself.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's not this Gen Z idea of just like manifesting a business.
Yeah,
You have to be prepared
manifest it.
Yeah.
financially or like work ethic. Like you have to have built up a certain level of character or like financial stability in order to do that. Yeah. I'm not advocating anyone just quit their job tomorrow with no plan because whatever plan A is going to work out. Yeah. That's not the idea.
No, it's about doing it with wisdom. And I kind of related to what you said about your dad wanting to go off and start something because my dad was a single dad for a while. After my parents got divorced when I was 2, he was living the single dad life, hustling and doing what he needed to do. And now he's almost, in his late 50s. And we talk about this all the time. He wants to find his purpose. And me and my dad are really tight. Like we'll have heart-to-hearts and he just gets me. And he, like what I'm doing right now with this podcast, he's in full support of it. And he's like, I'm so happy that it feels like you found your purpose because I want to be able to find my purpose. And he's my biggest cheerleader. And he always tells me he wants to be involved in this. He gives me ideas for the podcast and he's very involved. Like if he sees something, he will send it to me. He will be out in public and he is my biggest marketer because he will tell everyone about this podcast. He's such a cheerleader. And now he's like, if there was any way, like I want to be able to help you with this because I feel like I'm almost closer to my purpose and I missed out on that. And he's like, I don't know what happiness is necessarily, like in the big sense, I get it. It's family, it's marriage, it's having a child. But I feel like I'm missing something maybe more because I got caught up in the hustle because I was always trying to provide. And his dad, my grandpa, passed away recently. And my grandpa, his the last conversation I had with him, he was just basically like, you can't take money with you when you go, and life goes by so fast because my grandpa worked his whole life. Like he was on the railroad, he was working in a prison as like a deputy sheriff. So he worked a lot. He worked crazy hours and he's like, I provided for my family my whole life. And instead of getting able to spend time with my family, I missed out on that. I thought I was going to be able to do that in retirement and I got sick and it ended early and he never got that. So he practically just worked his whole life and he felt like he missed out on all the good things. All the things that you work for, he didn't get because you just focus on that one thing. So basically the last conversation, he was just like, you can't, like memories are just, everything's just a memory in the end. Yeah. And that was like something that sticks with me now and it's changed a lot of how I'm doing things because that was a few months ago and now I've just completely changed my outlook because you don't want to live your life like that and you don't want to hustle and grind away because you work for something. And sometimes people get so caught up in the work that the things you're working for, you never get to experience because you're so caught up in it.
Yeah, another element of the Matrix is making money for the sake of having money when you're 65 and your back kind of hurts a little bit. So you can't really experience the things you want to do. You can't go skydiving or just take a random trip somewhere where you might have a health risk. So you can't actually go on the plane or any of these things, right? The idea of succeeding early on in life, which, a lot of entrepreneurs have that spirit is because you want to be able to experience the things at the right time where you can maximize those experiences, especially with other people, right? Doing those things on your own never feels as good. People will always ask you psychologically how good it feels when you do something for yourself versus someone else. And it's almost universal. I mean, unless you're a super selfish narcissist. So like doing things with your significant other or with your family, with your friends, those experiences are way more impactful. And being able to do that when you're physically healthy and capable. Yeah. So the idea of working just so that you can retire on that money, like that's not really a life worth living in my opinion. So
it's the government scam.
Yeah.
Work hard now. You're going to be able to retire. You have a 401k. We'll take care of you. They don't.
No.
The 401k is something that you can't trust. People, you don't always make it to 65 and not everyone's lucky enough to be 65 and live in retirement and live a healthy life and be taking care of their grandkids. That's not always the case. And you get caught up in this grind because it's what your culture tells you to do. And that is so scary. That's such a toxic trait.
I think it's very, sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I think living in the South, and I'm from Alabama.
Birmingham.
I have noticed, especially as I get older, Southerners have a tendency to do what they think that they're supposed to do in life, which might be like go to college right out of high school, then get married, then have kids, and then do this and that and that. And there's nothing wrong with that and having that nuclear family. But I think relationships can deteriorate when people focus too hard on making sure that they've got this retirement package that they can live off of when they actually retire and they support their family. Whereas it's not a bad thing to work really hard to support your family, but you have to maintain a balance or else your relationships are going to suffer because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tale as old as time is like the dad who's never around because he makes millions and, you know, the kids are not particularly like happy or if anything, they're a little bit more degenerate without the father around, right? Yeah. Without the masculine presence at home. So
exactly.
That's huge.
Yeah. You know, and thank God my dad was always around.
Yeah.
Like seriously. Even with divorce, also at 2 years old. Yeah, he was always around. So
it's so important. My dad too, he always made it so important to go on family vacations and make memories. And that was always a big thing with our family. But I think, like you said, especially in the South, we have this idea of what's supposed to look like, what we're supposed to do. And we're afraid to go out and do something that's not traditional. Like, it's not always accepted to go out and start your own business. Parents are going to be like, oh, I don't know if you should do that. That's like really scary. Maybe you just go work a corporate job and that's safer. But is it safer? And also long-term, I think starting your own thing is so much more valuable in so many ways because it's not just about money. It's about so much more. It's about flexibility. Yeah. Are you going to find purpose because your parents are telling you that you need to go work a corporate job because it's safer? But ask them how happy they are because my dad works a corporate job and he likes his job, but he feels like he's always been missing something.
It's enjoyment and fulfillment. And the moment that you don't feel fulfilled in whatever you're doing, I think it's okay to walk away from that.
Yeah. Well, more people should hopefully be in the position to do that. Unfortunately, they might not be, but that's the idea of finding a job or a role that fulfills your financial necessities while also filling your purpose. Like the reason that you wake up in the morning, because waking up in the morning just to make 50, 60 grand a year at a job that sucks is just not, it's just not conducive to like a healthy lifestyle. And, you know, that's kind of what, on the flip side, like that's what my mom has done basically her whole life is just, she wanted to be a lawyer, had me too young, right? Unfortunately. I mean, I'm blessed to be here, but you know, and just, you know, my mom is awesome and she's super present and around and thankfully has a job that allows her to be home as well for my younger siblings now. But I know that she doesn't do a job that she likes doing. And so when I see her up at 7:30, just like take a client call where she's like miserable, I'm like, I could never do that.
Yeah.
Never.
You're sacrificing a lot. And I think also being able to step out of something that's not traditional and starting your own business or taking a risk on doing something that you really love and you have this fear that it might not work out. It's that fear that holds us back, that fear of failure, of what will people think of me? What will my family think of me? How will I provide? Am I just going to regret this in 5 years? And this is something that has like pushed me to do a lot of things because I moved to Nashville and I moved on that mindset. When I thought about it, I'm like, I don't want to miss an opportunity and say no to something because in 5 years, you will look back at saying no. I'm not going to look back in 5 years and regret saying yes to doing something that I would not know how that would turn out.
You would have met me.
I would have never met you. There's so many things.
God forbid.
I'm more important. But I do think that to me, in my mind, I would much rather say yes and know what's going to happen versus saying no and look back in 5 years and always wonder because that would eat me alive. And I think everything happens for a reason. And I fully believe that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. I am where God called me to be. And I think you see that true in the things that are happening in your life. Like, how is your walk with God? Do you feel close to him? Do you feel like you're close to purpose? And that's not, I guess, what you're doing in life, like your job and stuff, but how do you feel in your faith? Do you feel close to God? And I see that in things like meeting people like Megan. You meet people and I'm like, I know I was supposed to meet her. I know I'm supposed to be here doing this right now. And had I said no, I wouldn't have been able to experience this. So it's saying yes to those things. And when other things trickle in my life, it's almost like that validation. Although we don't need it, it is comforting knowing I do think that I chose the right thing, although it's scary. And although maybe it's not, if I stayed at where I was, maybe I would have been more financially secure, or maybe I would have just been higher up in my career. But I don't know. I just don't think that gets you to where you need to go in life. Getting that promotion isn't going to get you to your purpose.
Yeah, it's only things that you can reflect on looking back. And you do, as I like the way that you put that, you sort of get little glimpses of this idea, like this is what was supposed to happen. Like every time I got passed up for a job that I thought I was really good at, I was like, damn, I really thought I should have gotten that.
Yeah.
I really thought I would have done that job well. And then I look back at the job that I did get subsequently, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I actually got that job instead, right? And all the people that I met and the places that it took me. And I think these are moments where you can, where you kind of dance that line of like your free will versus like your predetermination from God. And it doesn't, I'm not afraid of that at all. You know, I believe in this idea of multiple paths that your life can take based on your choices. And I also, further conversation about like soulmates is like, I don't believe in one. I believe in like a few based on your like free will life choices. So there's a couple people that
I
are
like this
good.
take.
There's a couple people that are good out there for you, like your soulmates. You're not only meant for one, you don't only get led to one, because God did give us free will. And so you can choose to move to A or B or take job A or B. And there was someone waiting on the end of that. And the question is like, which one did you take? And neither is hopefully not the incorrect decision. I just think that these are open possibilities. Like the idea of God knowing what you're going to choose without is not like antithetical to the idea of you like having free will, right? It's like if I know that you're allergic to chocolate and I put vanilla and chocolate in front of you, like, and I know you're going to choose vanilla, that doesn't mean that you didn't have the choice to choose it. You just chose it anyway. And I just knew that. And that's kind of how I like view that conversation about like your free will and like God's knowledge of it. Is it omnipotence?
So interesting.
Is that
That's very interesting.
Is that the
I think so.
all-knowing? I think so.
That's-
I get confused between the all strength and all knowing elements.
Well,
of God,
I actually can relate to that so much because choosing your paths and then like being disappointed in something that may have not worked out or you didn't get. Like I worked for this company, a group fitness company that shall not be named because I don't want to give them any attention. I'm still a little bitter about it. But go woke, go broke, basically.
Target.
They just
It's Target.
Bud Light.
Target,
Disney.
North Face.
All of them.
They let go of a bunch of amazingly talented individuals for no reason.
Wow.
At all. And I was angry because the reason wasn't good enough. And it really put me in a dark place where I was like, I thought that this was what I was going to be doing for a long time. And then it was taken away from me just like that with no explanation whatsoever. And it took me a long time to kind of like build myself back up and realize like, hey, you're still extremely talented. You still have a lot of potential. Find something else to put that into and fuel it to where you can succeed. So if that happens to you, just know it's not over.
That's what happens. And it happens a lot. It's happened to me. When you put validation or you put that need for validation from an outside source, like a job or a person, you will be left disappointed because those things that are physical, tangible, they can be taken away so quickly.
Yes.
Right.
And that leaves you feeling some type of way because that was your source of validation. You needed that. And you have to put that in God, in your religion, because that's not something that can be taken away. You're not going to wake up tomorrow morning and God's not going to be there. God will always be there for you. But when you put that in a job and you get laid off tomorrow morning, there goes everything that you get your positive feelings from, or what you think you get your positive feelings from, that validation, that sense of security. My sense of security does not come from my job. That can be taken away tomorrow and it's not going to make me feel like I'm not secure. I feel secure because I trust the path that I have with God. And I know that if I lose my job tomorrow, God's got me.
Yes.
I'm not supposed to be there. If I get fired tomorrow, that's fine because that's God telling me I have something else for you.
Exactly.
And I'm going to walk with that. But I think people get so caught up in these things and having a nice house and being popular and going out and having all these nice, tangible things. And that's fine to some extent.
It's just stuff.
But it's just stuff. And when that gets taken away, there goes that thing that you needed to feel. And I just think that that's what we are seeing in our society is people are putting that validation. They need that from something else.
It's approval. Everyone's seeking approval and they want validation, like you said, but they're always seeking that approval from outside sources that at the end of the day, it doesn't freaking matter. Doesn't matter. You don't know that person on the other side of Instagram that's looking at your stuff and liking your photo because you posted, your Dior bag and your story or something like that. It's just no one cares. No one genuinely cares.
Yeah. I mean, this is the one concern about like significant self-improvement and breaking out of the matrix and having like an extreme
breaking out of the matrix.
An extreme level of success is there's limits to these things when it comes to a healthy outlook on it. And so the idea of making money is not to throw it at a, Lamborghini or to throw it on a boat just to have a bunch of unhealthy people around you. And,
exactly.
And like the pleasures of life that are not exactly healthy ideas, like whether it's, drugs or any sort of these other things. So the idea of success is definitely has its like limitations. This is like the one of the few things that I have as an issue when it comes to like this whole, I guess if you want to call it the manosphere, the red pill movement, is just about like extreme hyper success.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of the activities that those same people engage in are things that, are kind of antithetical to the way that they preach about, living like along the path of God, right? Yeah. So, sleeping with a bunch of different women just like because you can.
Yeah.
And like buying multiple properties in like a bunch of different places.
Andrew Tate.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of the good takes he has, I mean, there's some that he's even walked back on some of them. So, and there's a couple of different people in the manosphere that have also kind of sort of detracted from their previous like lifestyle choices, while still advocating for go to the gym, like make money so that you can support your wife. The idea of like retiring your wife is something that I think is like beautiful. It's like she can work if she wants to, but if she wants to retire, I'll retire her. I was like, wow. I think it was Justin Waller who said that. Controversial manosphere figure, but I love that idea. I was like, damn.
That's very respectable. And I think the way a relationship should be is a man is going to work, and if the woman wants to work, sure, but it should be doing something that brings you joy, because one man should be hustling, making the money and have to worry about that, because it's either the man is going to do it or you guys are both going to do it. And I think only one person should bear that burden, because it is a lot. And when you have a family, all these other needs need to be met.
Right.
So to be able to do that for someone, like, hey, I'm going to carry the stress of this because I love you and I can, and I know that that's my duty. But there's other things. It's not like you have no purpose or you have nothing else to carry. There is, but it's outside of that.
Yeah, I think this idea connects to what we were just talking about before, which is you want to have purpose in what you do, especially if it's financially driven, if it's your career. So if you're in the position where like you don't have to work because of the position that I've put our family in, that means that the passion that you decide to pursue, which may or may not make money, is something that you don't have to fear like won't work out, or you have to make sure that you're secure in like a 25 an hour type of role. If you want to volunteer at an animal shelter and eventually that turns into business, that's like awesome. But if it doesn't, and it's just for your passion, your hobby, something that like brings fulfillment to your heart, then that's great, because like you're not financially stuck because I got you kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that was something
take.
Yeah, it was something
Love it.
Something that Justin said for sure that I a lot of these ideas that a lot of the people claim are their own now on these podcasts are just things that they've heard from similar podcasters. So I'll give credit where it's due.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I like that you said this heightened success, because I see this a lot on my feed, and I'm not even searching for these things, but it's these reels talking about mad motivation and how to get that money, how to become extremely, extremely wealthy very quickly. And it's, these people also just trying to get views and shares and whatnot, but it glamorizes this toxic, nasty hustle culture that doesn't focus on anything else. And I just think when you put your eyes on the biggest prize of becoming the most successful, you miss out on so many other beautiful things in life. Yeah. And that's great to have drive and success. We're very driven, and that is really important. But when you become heightened to it, that means like you're not seeing anything else. Everything else is just your vision's in one place only. Yeah, you have tunnel vision for success. It's like there's so many other beautiful things that you're missing out on life. Like, I want to be successful. I want to make money. But I'm also taking my time doing it because there's so many other things in life that I want to experience while becoming successful.
Yeah, I mean, this is the potential hypocrisy that the red pill guys will attack like OnlyFans women for, but then at the same time, they're basically just doing the same concept in reverse. Like the OnlyFans women will make a bunch of money doing very, let's say, inappropriate or crude behavior. But a lot of them will say, well, this is to set up my family for the future. Like this is so that, when I have kids, like they're not worried about paying for college or, in case my husband leaves me or something, like I can still support my children or something. And the men that make all of this money in sort of the manosphere world, maybe their business practices are more quote unquote ethical, maybe not so much depending on who, but then because they make all that money, they'll just go sleep with a bunch of different women. So it's like, so their actions are also like it's kind of the reverse path where both people just end up doing like sexual promiscuity and making a bunch of money. And they just do it in the reverse pathways. So there's a little bit of hypocrisy there. And I think some people have been calling it out. So I don't think that pursuing of money means like just do it and absolve yourself of the responsibility of your moral compass, so that eventually you can be a more like pious individual. Like this is not the idea here.
Yeah. So you mentioned the OnlyFans. What is your perspective if a woman says that she has an OnlyFans, but she's doing it to provide for her family? She wants to put this in the bank and be able to provide, and this is for her future family. And that's why she's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that we would ever attempt to excuse this in other, questionable business practices. If a male came to me and said he was selling fentanyl so that he could set up his family, right, I would never approve of that. So,
right.
I see the same thing when it comes to OnlyFans. And I guess like people are like, oh, well, the drug user will get drugs anyway from someone else. So I might as well, right? This is the argument of OnlyFans models. Well, people are watching porn anyway, so I might as well. People are objectifying me anyway, so I might as well do it. And it's like, well, I don't know about you, but I just because other people are using drugs doesn't mean that I want to be enabling it and selling it and potentially
it's the moral compass.
compromising my soul for this. So definitely not something that I would ever consider in a girlfriend or a wife. And I don't know how, I mean, other than feminism, I don't know how like this idea has been like how people have been convinced that this is some sort of appropriate
it's like
career
too. Like a lot of women think that maybe in a hard place where like it's good money, it's fast money. I can support my kids. I can put food on the table. So I'm just going to go take my clothes off. I mean, the premise of it, I understand, but like the excuse of, well, I don't have an education. Well, I don't have a car. There's a bus. There's a shower. Go to McDonald's.
I mean, most of the...
Go get a job at Walgreens.
I don't know the exact percentage of this even, but isn't it something of like some of the most successful people in the world do not have college educated degrees? Like, so what does that even mean? Like, I'm not educated, I don't know. Like, and not having a car. I mean, I guess if you live in, random ass Topeka, Kansas I don't know. I don't need to dig on Topeka, but if you live in somewhere where there isn't public available transportation, maybe I can understand that argument. Although if you make enough for, if you make at least
I would imagine it's relatively cheap to live in Topeka.
Yeah. And if you make $20 a day, you can probably Uber both ways to wherever you're going.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is definitely something where you kind of look at it and you think, well, I don't need to compromise on my entire moral value just to make fast money. The idea of fast money is also like something that used to be shamed. It used to be if you were a pimp or a drug dealer or, Andrew Tate Cam.
Yeah, dirty
Cam
money
girl thing,
is
right?
what they call it.
Right. Old, like the old money versus new money thing. I mean, and it's questionable even when I would rag on any man who also tries to do these things, right? This is not a only the OnlyFans women are at fault here. Yeah, it's not gender specific. If you're doing a job that compromises your value and your integrity, then this is something that deserves at least criticism, if not actual overt shame. But we don't live in a shame acceptable society anymore. So don't shame me because it's not your life. It doesn't affect you. And it's like, well, if you're going to be my wife, it would probably affect me.
Yeah, we do state that we shame. And the OnlyFans thing is interesting because there was some study out there saying that these women that are on OnlyFans, they make so much money, but they're extremely depressed.
Yes.
And they are the most successful people on OnlyFans, and they feel so depressed. And it's because, I wonder why. Okay, so money's not always happiness. Money is a vehicle, but it's not happiness. And again, this is like where we get, it's not even the issue of porn. It's not the issue of drugs. It's not the issue of being addicted to social media. It's the issue of people seeking pleasure and purpose and like validation from outside sources. And this is what we're seeing. It's not, these things are just how we see it. They are symptoms. but it's not actually what's wrong with society because it goes much deeper. People just needing that biological need, and they're getting it from something very quickly.
Yeah.
It's not actually filling that biological need, but it's like that temporary fix.
Yeah.
It's the Band-Aid to feel that way.
It hits on at least like 3 of the 7 deadly sins, I think. So
Yeah.
pride, greed, lust, right?
Yeah.
At least,
Yeah.
if not more.
Yeah, and I think that that's what we're seeing, and obviously it's because we have the absence of God in our culture.
Yeah.
Because God gives you all these things that you are looking for, all these things that you are looking for in outside sources, all these things that you're looking for in your career, all these things that you're finding in social media and in sex. You can find all that in God,
Yes.
but you're using all of these toxic things to get there. Like, okay, how about instead of doing all these things that make you feel like a shitty person, you just turn to God?
Yeah. Well,
We're not.
Yeah. I mean, if we're not constantly living in a society where God is promoted or even valued, then I don't even blame people for not even being able to like recognize like him like being there, right? We just, if anything, we like shame religious people, right, in our culture. So I think it's really hard for someone Gen Z to be born and be like, oh yeah, like I really love God. God is everywhere. I just turn to him if I need anything, right? Because now we just turn to our screen if we need something.
Yeah.
Just order it on Amazon if we need it or whatever. So I think it's really hard to, I mean, my favorite music artist, John Bellion, talks about this. He's specifically referencing LA, like obviously as a place for a bunch of music artists to end up or to go. And he says, like, I'm dropped off in the land where the artists play. He's speaking about Los Angeles, where God's way is the hardest way. This is what he says. Because in that society, in some of these major cities, I mean, there really is like I don't even know how there's anybody religious who like lives there. And I have Jewish family that does live there, and they live an incredibly beautiful life. And I'm so envious of it because I don't know how they don't falter, how they don't like have any
temptations.
Temptations. I mean, I guess their community is just so strong, but living there for a year and a half, I just like, it's so incredibly difficult to do it there. And then I just imagine like if you're pretty much in anywhere else where you didn't grow up particularly religious, right? This is always the like, I was born Christian, but I don't really go to, they're like, but I don't go to church though. It's like a big,
so you're not.
It's such a negative thing to like have gone to church. Like, I was born Jewish, but like, trust me, I don't like go to synagogue or anything. It's like, why is it shameful? Yeah. Why is it like, we're shaming like the worst. We're shaming like such a good thing. And then we're like not shaming like terrible things.
I remember when it was cool to go to church.
Yeah. Oh my God. I used to say like, if I was Christian, that I would want like my wife to be like, the dad is like the pastor. Like I want to be, like I want to be.
You want to date the pastor's daughter?
I want to date the pastor's daughter for sure.
Aww,
like I just want to be like,
daughter.
I want them to bring me to church. Like 100%.
Are you sure you're not from Alabama?
I know, right?
That's like a stereotypical like super Southern thing. I love that.
I just think it's adorable, and I think it's so wholesome and like
it is.
Just There's like the community orientation that like these
pureness.
Southern, the community orientation that these like Southern cities have, whether you see it in movies or TV shows or they're actually real life. Like I think it's so beautiful.
It's a feel-good scenario, and it's a feel-good scenario for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where like everyone knows each other and they're all, you know, one of the dads is like the sports dad for like the whole town and he's kind of looked up to, right? And then you have like the mom who's like runs the baking contest. Like, I just think that's like
that's what Jeremy wants.
He needs to move to a small town, ladies.
Yeah.
He's looking for a small town girly.
Small town girl. Small town, wants the preacher's daughter.
Really big family though.
Yeah, big
like
fan.
4 kids minimum.
I think that is the answer. I'm like, that's all I want in life is to raise the next generation. That's what we should be focusing on. And I think that's so cool to be able to do that, to start your own family, to build your own life that is not dependent on any of these external things. That you can go out and do this on your own and build that purpose without needing anything else externally.
Yeah.
That is like what should be considered cool. It shouldn't be an OnlyFans. It shouldn't be searching for extreme success and extreme wealth. The real wealth is building a family, getting to spend time with your family. And it's the wholesome stuff.
Yeah. I mean, people lose sight of the idea of money is for the experiences that you share. Like I said before, right? You don't take the money with you. We don't take anything with us really other than our actual soul.
Yeah.
So
literally.
Yeah. So I wouldn't compromise on that one thing that I actually get to keep forever, which is my soul. And then, you know, maybe you take your memories with you. I don't know. I don't know exactly how that works. Obviously, none of us do. But if you do, then I would probably put all my money into memory like experiences.
Yeah.
With other people.
Yes.
Right? So,
Yeah.
hot take from a Jew.
Love it.
No, this was really good.
It was great.
Guys, we actually were going to talk about Western women, but I
love
that,
this direction that we went in.
Yeah, it completely pivoted. And I think that this was just so much more meaningful.
Yes.
Also, it's just something that I've been really thinking on too. And ever since we had that conversation, I'm like, dang, I've never seen The Matrix. But now I'm gonna watch it.
We need a live
I'm gonna
viewing
tape
party.
your eyeballs open, and we're gonna.
But I talk about The Matrix all the time. Like I have
this
seen
girl.
We need a live viewing party.
This is why I'm here.
Live viewing party of actually watching The Matrix because I feel like I've heard it in so many references. That's why I talk about it. So I am going to watch
That's
it.
where the red
That's
pill
the
and the blue
next-
pill literally come from.
That's literally gonna be
Oh
the
my
next
gosh.
one.
Okay,
Yeah.
guys, that's it. I'm watching the freaking Matrix.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
that'll
watching
be
it.
the next.
We're watching it
cancelable,
in
guys.
Dallas or on the plane.
On
I'm
the
going
plane.
I'm
Yes.
going to watch this.
Camera crew set up on the plane. Yeah.
Yeah, watch live streaming The Matrix. But I think that it's so relevant in today. Whatever is in The Matrix, I think that the meaning of it, escaping this toxic pull to do things that don't serve you. And it's like we lose sight of everything so important to us and everything so meaningful. So I like that this conversation went in that direction because I think a lot of people need to hear it. A lot of people need to be reminded of this.
Yeah.
Because if you don't see it, you kind of, like the conservative movement, if you don't see these values and morals being pushed out on social media, you kind of like lose sight of it because you're seeing everything else. So it's like if you don't see it, it's almost like you kind of lose it a little bit.
You kind of just lose yourself.
Yeah. I think you don't personally need to be called out, but I do think that some of these ideas need to be called out for you to self-reflect. And I think a lot of these ideas, whether it comes to like men and women and OnlyFans and relationships, or if it comes to like God, faith, Christianity, or whatever religion you're a part of, like sometimes you honestly just need someone else to talk about these ideas. And then all of a sudden you start to reconsider the way that you thought before. I know that you were kind of a lib in college. We've spoken about this. And I think most people can probably relate to that. And I think I was kind of just like an unknowing lib, not like particularly, didn't really care either way. But when I did start to find ideas from people that were more like on the right, then I just started to identify with those things more and be like, well, how do I actually think about this? But I would have never actually reconsidered any of those ideas if someone wasn't talking about it, which is why I think podcasts, YouTube shows, or even just like reading news is like really important so that it makes you reevaluate.
Jeremy, you're so based and you're so good at having these deep conversations.
Yeah.
This was just, for me personally, I think this was such a useful conversation.
I agree.
In the sense, it was things that I've been feeling.
Yes.
And I just needed to say it out loud. Yes.
My stepmom, Jody, would like me to be a psychologist, but that takes so much more schooling, and I would go into debt. And we're not trying
You're
to.
giving very Jordan Peterson.
We don't want to jump back into the Matrix, but I
Yes.
guess if I could be a for hire psychologist, that wouldn't be illegal by not like passing some sort
an
of
illegal
exam.
psychologist.
Yeah, I mean, if you just want to.
Not certified
send
or
me
licensed.
a $30 Venmo
Psychology
for a quick
for
$30
dummies.
chat.
Yeah. They're like, I'll give you a phone call. Everything's under the table. It's not legal.
It's all cash, my cash business. Yeah,
Straight cash. Bitcoin only.
Right. Only crypto.
Dogecoin.
Only crypto.
Well, Jeremy, it was so good to have you on and
Yeah.
finally have you on Girls Gone Right 2.0, not the videographer, and being able to have
in
a
front of the
conversation with
camera.
us.
Yeah, well, this was awesome. This is a great
Thanks so much for
conversation,
coming.
and we can definitely talk about some more
Yeah.
juicy
Yes.
Western women conversations at another
guys,
point.
next time we're actually going to stay on topic and hit Western women. But I hope that you guys enjoyed talking about The Matrix, and hopefully you guys could relate to some of this. If you like this content, share it to a friend, share it to your mom or your dad or whoever.
Cousin.
Yeah,
Your brother, your sister.
everyone. But thank you guys for listening to Girls Gone Right.
We'll see you on the next one.